Pearl of Wisdom, and this is Ron Mont, and you're listening to another episode of Puckin' Deep, where we do exactly what the title says. We get in deep on puck, on hockey, on all the things that are going on, or things that we would simply want to talk about. Today, we're going to be talking about the Philadelphia Flyers as they exited in 4 games sweep. I had Carolina first sweep, so it worked out well for me against the Philadelphia exit, and kind of looking at their exit strategy. Of course, there's a whole bunch of the big topic that people have been harping on, and harping isn't the right word, getting excited about for quite a while now, and especially in the playoffs, was of course Matvei Michkov. He did low minutes in the playoffs, how he was used by Rick Tocchet, and just many other things moving forward, what their summers could look like or not look like. I know that in Twitter feeds that I'm seeing a lot of let's go trade for Matthews and all this kind of great stuff that is really interesting to me. But and we'll look at the other series as well, put our takes on those. But the big news is Philadelphia loses in a sweep. Ron, this is Ron from on Prospect Watch and RNJ Media, who comes with me all the time to talk about this. Also, just so happens to be a big Philadelphia Flyers fan. So, Ron, what's your take? We actually talked beforehand. We have some disagreements on this, which I love. That's the way it is. It's good. You ever watch podcasts where they just constantly agree with each other all the time? You kind of wonder, really? Like, you guys don't disagree on anything? Seriously? But not here. That doesn't happen here. Well,
what fun's that?
What's that?
What fun is that, right? When you agree with everything.
Exactly. That's right. Yeah.
There's no drama. There's no, there's no
different takes, and nobody can't come back later and say, "See, told you so." Anyways, what do you got, Ron?
I'll tell you what. So I'm not just a fan of the Flyers. Okay, I get to cover this team, and I cover the Phantoms as well too. You know what I mean? And so I get to do a podcast. Speaking of podcasts, I get to do a podcast with Russ Cohen. We're the Hockey Writers Inc. We exclusively talk about the Philadelphia Flyers and the Lehigh Valley Phantoms. And we were kind of a little bit opposite. We actually predicted that the Phantoms would make the playoffs and the Flyers wouldn't. And, well, the Flyers made the playoffs and the Phantoms did not. And so, well, okay. I was... When they got to about 20 games left, right, and Philadelphia was kind of on the outside looking in, right, and they were kind of on the verge of, going for a lottery pick, okay, and there was about maybe 18, 19, 20 games left, and you looked at the schedule and go, well, okay, if Philadelphia wants to make the playoffs, they're going to have to win out. And boy, howdy, didn't they just do that? Right? Like they were what? Like 12-3-1, right? Their last, 15 so games or whatever, right? Like they just went on a tear at the end of the season and came in hot. Right? Which is what you need to do. He came in hot, and they didn't limp into the playoffs. Like they fought and battled and made it into the playoffs. And as far as I'm concerned, this team overachieved all year. They weren't necessarily expected to be even remotely mentioned in contention for the playoffs, much less beating the Penguins in the first round. And then making it to the second round. Like, really? Like, all year long, nobody's talking about Philadelphia. Nobody. Right? Because they were, kind of down there at the bottom. Right? Nobody was talking. And then even when they made it into the playoffs, and then they were kind of reluctantly talking about Philadelphia, And then they beat the Penguins, and it was like, oh, okay, Philadelphia, okay, yeah, sure. And then they went up against the juggernaut of the Carolina Hurricanes. And so I really feel that we got to see some really good things from Philadelphia this year.
Mhm.
I thought we got to see some maturation of some guys. I think we got to see the coming of age of a goaltender. I mean, I
Mhm.
think Philadelphia finally has a guy now that's number one guy in net,
Mhm.
right? I mean, I think Dan Vladar has really kind of embraced this team, and the team has embraced him. And I mean, he's very outspoken, and I mean, the guy stood on his head against Carolina. You know what I mean? But I think we saw some missteps. I think we saw some mistakes. I think we saw some things that were some dome scratchers as far as I'm concerned. If you're telling me that this is a rebuild team, how does a rebuild team make it to the second round of the playoffs? If you're telling me then you're a contender team, then how come you keep telling me that you're a rebuilding? Okay, right? So it kind of comes across as a bit of a mixed message. And then what you said, Perlo, about all these people that are clamoring for this guy to get traded and this guy to get traded so that we can get this guy and this guy and this guy. Look, I hate to tell it to y'all, but there is nobody going nowhere in Philadelphia. Okay? You might see some minor moves like maybe Hathaways, like we saw Delorier getting traded. You might see the Hathaways getting traded. You know, you might see some of those guys go away, but for the most part, the core I think has been established with the Bumps, the Barkeys. You know what I mean? You're getting those kids now. The Porter Martones, you know, are starting to be. You saw Tippett step up this year. I think Tyson Forster's another one you can add to that list of good core. I think we saw the serious maturation of Trevor Zegras this year,
Very much
completely
so.
bought in. You know what I mean, right? I
Mhm.
think you could trail Konechny in with that little pile, and surprisingly, Ristolainen was as
Ristolainen
advertised.
had an amazing year.
Finally, you know,
Drysdale, yeah.
4 years after we finally get him, and then you pay
Mhm.
him all this big money, and he sits out almost a whole year, and now he's finally paying off. Like, all right,
Mhm.
right? And I also have to agree with what you said there too. You know what I mean? As far as that, those guys are doing really. Drysdale has really stepped up as well. So I mean, there was some really good things that
Mhm.
happened for Philadelphia. I think they've got a really good core of young players
Mhm.
now moving forward. I mean, their entire blue line, for the most part, is 25 and below,
Mhm.
right? And you got your wingers are pretty much all young as well, right? So and Philadelphia is like the fifth youngest team. So this past year they were the fifth youngest team in the league. So I
Mhm.
mean, there's lots of really good things to look forward to, right?
Yep.
That was the good. The bad. Oh, and bad. It was bad. The power play is still the worst in the league, right? And look, they had 2019. They had 19 power plays in the series against Carolina, right?
Mhm.
One. Look, you got swept by Carolina. I get it. Carolina, an elite team. They've got elite defense, elite offense.
Mhm.
Anderson was just playing out of his bloody mind, right?
Playoff Anderson, yeah.
Playoff Anderson, right? I mean, he showed up, okay, and he was not letting anything through. But Philadelphia was not able to spend any kind of considerable time down in the offensive zone. and they spent too much time in their end. And then when they had power play opportunities, they couldn't capitalize on it because they couldn't even spend any time down there. They gave up a shorthanded goal, and they would go through 2 power play units and not even get a shot on goal, right? When you get a power play in the playoffs, you have to capitalize on those opportunities because you're clearly not getting it done 5-on-5, even though that's where they scored most of all their goals, right? But when you have those opportunities, you need to capitalize on them opportunities. And they are few and far between, especially in the playoffs, right? So you need to fix that. Your defense is still you still need help down the middle. You still need to have guys that can finish. You need more guys that can help lines. I was not very happy with how Michkov was played this year. You and I talked about this on multiple shows. I talked to Russ about how Michkov was played and how, okay, it's a learning, but he's supposed to be one of their better players, and yet you're handcuffing him as far as I'm concerned. I disagreed with how things were handled with him this whole season. Okay, I understand he came in out of shape, and I get it. Okay, but if you're gonna be the disciplinarian and you're gonna be that kind of thing, and you're gonna teach him a lesson, then come out and tell me that that's what you're gonna do instead of doing this him haul garbage, as far as I'm concerned. Because all you did was avoid the whole 9 yards and not come out and tell me the truth. And yet all this organization has been trying to do is transparency with fans and media, and we're being honest with everybody and we're not holding anything back and blah blah blah, but yet here you are. Okay, so it feels like a bit of a mixed message with Philadelphia as far as I'm concerned. They say they're a rebuilding team, yet they're trying to win now, and they did. You know what I mean? But yet you're a rebuilding team, but yet you're playing these guys that I feel that you shouldn't be playing, and not playing guys that I feel you should be playing and not playing. So maybe I'm doing something wrong, Perlo. Maybe I should hang up my analyst hat, man. Maybe I should just – what am I doing wrong, man?
I don't think they thought they were going to make the playoffs. That was a big thing.
See, I disagree.
Nobody in that league nobody thought they were making the playoffs.
See, I really feel that that's exactly what they were trying to do. I really,
sure, but I didn't think they would. I don't think they thought they would. They were trying to. It's what like if you're going to tank, so to speak, the whole point is to have a team that's going to try really hard and not do well. You don't want to, you're still going to try hard and do whatever. And a coach is going to do whatever they have to do to, if they can make it, they can make it. And they made it. I didn't have them making the playoffs this year. I didn't have them. Nobody. So they did well. Anybody like that knows hockey looked at that lineup and said, no, that's probably not making the playoffs this year. They're probably going to play hard. So it's not like they didn't set up the team to not make the playoffs. That they did. So the way you go from here is like, okay, look, we got a lot of character here. We actually made it when we didn't even think we were going to make it. So where do we go?
Moving forward.
Where do we go from here? I already talked about the Michkov thing. There's no way you can play that guy top minutes. If you're going to play him, they decided to play him 10 minutes a day because they want him to get his minutes in, learn still how to play a full sheet and all that kind of stuff like that. I get it. In a lot of teams, he would have been in bigger trouble than if he was in Philadelphia. And I don't think it was disciplinary. It's protecting your asset. You're going to play that guy top. You can't play him up against top minutes. They'll crush him. And if he gets, he got tired. He would fade down in 10 minutes a game. He would fade in games. I saw it. He would fade in games in 10 minutes a game. Now he can rely on his skill. His skill is awesome. He's going to be a great player, and he's going to come back and he's going to be in mint condition. And I think he's going to buy in. And I think this is all not even going to be a discussion later. And somewhere down in his career, he's going to say, I learned a lesson that year. That's it. It's not overblown. There's people thinking that Tocchet doesn't like him and he doesn't like Europeans and all this nonsense. It's just none of that. None of that. I don't think it has anything to do with that.
There's been a lot of footage. There's been a lot of footage of him working with Mitchkov, him working with Barkey, him working with Bump. You know what I mean? Trying to get.
You just mentioned how Zegras improved so much when he came from Anaheim. We're not going to give that on Tocchet. Just him. Like the Tocchet doesn't get any props for how much he improved this year, or Draisaitl, or all the guys we just mentioned. That's not on Tocchet.
I think it is. No. So that's why
he's a great coach.
I think there was some good. I think there was a lot of good that came out of it this year, right? Mm-hmm. And you absolutely have to give that to Tocchet. Okay, right? And like I even said about Vladar, excuse me, he's played the most games he's ever played in his life, right? This year. And not only did he play the most games, but he had his best year statistically. Right? And we didn't have any shutouts during the regular season, but we got 2 shutouts in the playoffs from Dan Vladar. Like I said, I think Philadelphia finally has a number 1 goaltender.
Probably looks like it, yeah.
In Vladar, right? And you have to attribute that to the system that Tocchet put in place, because he historically makes goalies good.
Yeah.
Okay. And Vladar stepped into that role and did very well. Okay. Now, that being said, you need to be able to I see my biggest sticking point with all of this is the power play.
Yep. Power play is not good.
And it hasn't been good, Perlo. It hasn't been good
for a long time.
Years. Yep. Okay. And it's like when you watch a really good team on the power play, okay, they have 1-2 guys in front of the net. They cycle the puck, but there's concentrated shots on net from all different areas of the ice. Okay. And Philadelphia never has guys in front. They can barely keep the puck in the zone because they can't even win the race to the puck battles once they dump it in. That's the other thing I don't understand. Why are you dumping the puck in on a power play? Why can't you skate the puck in and then get set up? But no, they dump the puck in and then can't win the battle to the puck. And then now it's going back the other way. Perlo, I'm telling you, man, I watched 81 games of Philadelphia this year during the regular season and every single playoff game. And I've watched every of those games at least twice. Okay? Because I watch it the first time as a fan. The second time I watch it so I can hit pause and rewind and, analyze the game and watch it that way. Right? And I'm here to tell you, when you can't win the battle to the puck, why are you dumping it in? Why are you getting to not quite the red line and you've got 4 other guys in the line with you coming in at the same time and you're shooting the puck in to go around? Why can't you skate the puck in? You already got the defenses going backwards, right? I don't get it, okay? I just don't get it. And it's been like that for years.
Yeah.
Okay.
They got to add an offensive blue line possession wrinkled to their plan right now. And we'll see if they do that this year. But like we were talking beforehand, I think Rick Tocchet's a good coach. Now, I am not sure that he is a coach that can diversify a system. That I'm not sure. And if he's not, then you got to move on. But one thing he has, like he's it's not easy to teach a team to be a solid shot suppression team.
And I think he did a great job doing that.
But I'll go to it can go the opposite way sort of too. If you watch that Montreal Buffalo game, Buffalo goes to the blue line and they try to gain possession at the blue line and then go into the offensive zone. Montreal just played all their players along the blue line. Now you got to dump it in. You got to learn how to play a dump in game too to add to that wrinkle. If you don't, you're going to lose in the playoffs because the team, you're no longer just playing random teams in a regular season and they're just trying to figure you out in one game. Now you're playing back-to-back games. And if you don't have a different system to change, I love the way St. Louis says it. I'm falling in love with St. Louis as a coach. Actually, I just absolutely love him. He's up there with Tortorella in my books. But he said, you got to give what the game gives you. You got to play the way what the game gives you, which means you got to do something different in different situations depending on what your opponent is doing, and you got to be able to adapt. And if you don't have that different systems to be able to play like the Florida Panthers do, Tampa Bay Lightning do, Colorado Avalanche do, who just happened to win the last 3 how many cups. If you don't have that in your back pocket, I don't care who you have on your team, you ain't winning. You ain't winning in this league. So we'll see. Now, that being said, I do see the value of teaching one system first, making sure they have it, and then that being your identity, and then adapting after that. I do see the value in that because if you especially with young players, you can confuse the crap out of them. And I'm banking that that's what Tocchet is doing. But if he isn't doing that and this just keeps on going this way, yeah, you got to move on.
See, that's what my fear is, though, Perlo, because I didn't see those adjustments.
No, I didn't either.
When the opportunity was presented to him to make those adjustments, he went the exact opposite way, as far as I'm concerned, and those adjustments weren't made. And
I just don't think he's had the time time to. I think it's possible he just hasn't had the time to build that in. He just wanted to get this down first. The only time I saw was in the second game when they did basically what I call a full press. They surprised Carolina, and the defense went totally aggressive in the offensive zone. Florida does this all the time. They usually wait till a team is tired to do it, and that surprised the hell out of Carolina. They didn't see it coming, and they got 2 goals in the first. And then, but that seemed to be the only play in the playbook other than their system that they have. And that I can just.
And they weren't able to sustain that. They weren't able to sustain that.
You can't play like that all the time. You're going to get your ass kicked. But it's a great way to surprise teams every once in a while. That's what I'm talking about. Montreal did it to Buffalo that game I was talking about. They totally changed it up, and they said, okay, I'll tell you what, we're going to double up in behind the net because they're killing us on the boards. We got to get possession behind the net. And one thing I do got to say that Philadelphia did figure out and was doing well, and it was giving them opportunities, is when they were behind the net, instead of banging it around to their defensemen or out to the outside, they realized that they're anticipating that. Carolina's, so they were putting it in front of the net right from the side of the net. That was a good move, man. That was a good adjustment that they made. So it showed me that these young kids can learn the adjustment. Now I just need to see if Tocchet is going to make the adjustment next year and start branching out to various different plays you can do when, like you said, you give what the team gives you. But you can only do that if you know what you're doing, right? Now, St. Louis and Montreal, I got to say, I don't know if I've ever seen a coach be able to do this so fast with a young team like this. If you ask me, if you were asking me right now who I would take as coach of my team right now, if I had a choice of all the coaches, it would be St. Louis. It wouldn't be Brind'Amour. As much as I love Tortorella, it wouldn't be Tortorella. As much as I love Coop, it wouldn't be Coop. I think St. Louis is the best coach in the NHL today.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I really feel that Cooper is also a genius when it comes to
he's a brilliant guy too.
I
just think St. Louis is more progressive than even Coop. It's no slight on any of those guys.
No,
this guy is out of my. I can't believe
St. Louis is really leaning into the analytics.
Yeah, he's an analytics guy for sure.
Okay, and so that's been a huge marker.
Mm-hmm. He knows the weakness of his team, and he knows how to cover those weaknesses by using his players the right way, by in certain situations attacking the weakness of the other team with the strength of yours and covering up the weakness that they have.
Yep, exactly.
He is just Arber Xhekaj should not be in this league. He shouldn't, but he uses him in the perfect spots. He knows that Arber Xhekaj is not going to be an NHL defenseman down the road on that team. He knows that, but he knows the perfect spot to use it. Gallagher, end of his career, hanging by a thread. What does he do? He sits the guy. Sits Gallagher, the spiritual leader of this team. He sits him. Everybody freaks out and then lets them get some rest, gets everybody all riled up. The Gal is going to sit and let's play for him. And then brings him in 2 days later, puts him on the top six when he's got top legs and he can still compete. The guy scores the first goal of the game. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. That is it. Most coaches would have just had not have had the balls to sit Gal. And they would have just kept playing him down on the fourth line.
Yeah.
Getting the best that they can out of him. Newhook. All of a sudden, Newhook is scoring. I'm telling you, overall, Newhook is not right.
Yeah.
What does he do? He says, you know what? Forget about defense right now. Forget about defense right now. That second line is really not being effective right now. Nobody will see this coming. What I want you to do is I want you to fly the zone for a couple games. You're going to
look at what he's doing. Look at the results.
Yeah. Nobody sees Newhook coming, man. Nobody sees that coming. And then all of a sudden, Newhook's behind the defense and he's scoring goals. He's not going to do that forever. He knows that he can't do that forever. But what a surprise move, man. He is I don't think on that level. I've looked at this team and I say, no way St. Louis is going anywhere. But now
Philly needs to have somebody or be able to think like that. Philly needs to be able to be able to do something similar to that, to where if you're going up against a team that, like what Carolina was doing, is they were just clogging up the blue line. Like they would just stop you there at the blue line. And they wouldn't let you get in, and then they would just take the puck away from you.
Yeah,
well, you need to do something different, right? Because dumping the puck in isn't going to work. You need to skate the puck in order to get past that.
That man-on-man system when you have full legs like they do, and they are such conditioned athletes. Those guys, Brind'Amour's turned those guys into machines. So, first of all, you got to become machines, and then you can start working on something to be able to defeat that system. But Denver Barkey and all of these guys, great talented guys. But if I'm Rick Tocchet, I'm saying, do you see what you're doing in the summer this year? You see what you're doing in the summer this year? You see how those guys absolutely ruined you in the corners, and you did not have the strength to be able to do anything about it? You know what you're doing.
Or the gas to keep up.
Yeah. Exactly. You know what you're doing in the summer this year. I see one person even close to mid-spectrum coming in here next year, and you're sitting. Every single one of you. I will get you the trainer. I will get you whatever you need, but you are crushing it this summer. Crushing it.
I hope the message for Philadelphia is this. Okay. And one of the things that I liked about this new regime change with Danny Briere and Keith Jones was that John Snowden, the coach of the Phantoms, is coaching the same system that Tockett's coaching. Okay. Yeah. And it was a marked difference this year when players were called up. They were able to be slotted right in and not even skip a beat, right? Okay. And you saw guys that excelled, you know, first playoff games, scoring goals and, you know, this whole 9 yards and everything like that, right? And that's an attribute to John Snowden and what they're doing down there in the Phantoms, teaching these guys the same system that they're teaching up there in the Flyers, right? So that's a huge improvement as well. They need to have these guys, these prospect guys that they have, they need to hit on more of them. Because once you get past the Alex Bumps and the Barkays and that lot, it drops off.
Yeah.
Significantly, right? There's very few guys.
But honestly, when Bump and them were coming up, I was like, okay, we'll see. You know, they've come along well.
And I'm going to be also honest with you too. Out of that group, Barkey and Martone are really, I think, the only ones that are going to amount to really anything. Because I think the other guys are just that. Yeah, they're going to be starters and they're going to be hockey players, but that's about as far as I see them. But I see Denver Barkey and Porter Martone excelling a little bit. Maybe making that next step next year.
Martone's going to be a beast, man.
Dude, man. Okay, right? So there is a lot of hope for the future for Philadelphia.
Oh, yeah.
But like you said, if we can't get Tocchet to do that, okay, now you got your system in place. Now you got to make sure everybody comes in shape. And then how can you diversify? How can you make those in-game adjustments?
Yeah.
Right?
What's the next step? Yeah.
Okay. If Perlo, I have a very, very bad feeling.
Okay.
About this, man. And this was one of the reasons why I didn't want Tocchet to be hired as the coach. Okay? Because I don't feel that, and I'm not trying to I'm not taking anything away from Rick Tocchet. Okay? I'm really not as a coach. The guy's got his name on the cup as a coach. Okay? He's won a Jack Adams Award, right? So I'm not taking, and I saw what he did with Vancouver and everything else like that. But I don't think that this team is built to be the team that he wants to, with the system that he wants to play. And it might take too long for the team to get to adjust to be able to have the guys in there that he wants so that he can play that kind of a system. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't improve the power play significantly this year, and I don't mean by being last in the league to now being 28th. No, you need to be 18th, 19th.
Yeah.
Okay, you need to be scoring on a, if you get 5 power play opportunities in the night, you need to be at least putting 2 in.
Yeah, you got to they just got to make quicker passes. That's the main thing down there. They're too slow in their passes.
And there's nobody in front of the net.
Yeah. And that's unusual. That's not really, that's kind of weird. The other thing they need right off the top, I mean, it's just no doubt about it. They need number 1 center. If Zegras is going to be that, then that's great. But
I don't think he is.
I think he's better on the wing. they need a number one center, and that's going to have to come along sooner or later. You find out the guys that you know are going to take you there, and then you're going to have to make something. And we talked about it already.
And it ain't going to be Jet Luchenko.
I still think Konechny is not in the future of that team. It is.
You know what? You were talking about this in the very beginning, right?
What did I say was going to happen in the playoffs with Konechny? I said that's exactly.
Even before we even got online, you were talking about how all the people that you were talking about saying, "Oh, they need to trade these people from Philly and trade this person and trade that person and this and that and everything to get Mitch Marner." And I'm like, okay, well, you don't need a Mitch Marner, but I do think you could probably trade a Konechny and get somebody.
It's hard to trade wingers for centers, but I mean, somewhere down the road, you might have to do a big package to get a center because, like you said, they're doing too good. You're not going to be able to draft that. Or you got to just hit on one of those mid picks that some of these, look at like Dallas has done it with Johnston. You know, you got to hit, they got to start. I think they got to start drafting for skill now. They got to start drafting for skill. And look at Stankoven. He's not smaller dude or whatever, but they need to start drafting for that one skilled center, and they got to find him because Dvorak's not going to cut it. It's not going to cut it. He's not a number one center. Not, yeah.
And
nothing against the guy, but
Sean Couturier is, I mean, he really
does the best he can for his son.
But you know, right? That
he does the best he can, and he's a great captain, and you know, you root for the guy. But yeah, he's not.
Right. You know, Noah Cates played really well this year, but
not a number one center. I like him a lot, but
yeah, right. You know, I like him too, but
without having a number one center, its power plays can be a little tough because centers are the ones that generally run the power play. So somewhere along the line, they're going to have to pony up and get one. Somewhere along the line.
And I don't care how you do it. I don't care how you do it. You got to go out and get.
Yeah.
If you're not going to draft them, because they had opportunity in the last 2 years, Perlo. They had positional picks where they could have taken some guys that are going to burn them now. Okay, that are playing for the likes of, say, the Capitals or the Rangers or some of these guys that are going to be up and coming for them. They could have picked those guys that could have made much more of a difference at center for Philadelphia, and they didn't do that. You know what I mean? So that's burning them now because that whole Cutter Gauthier deal was supposed to be their guy, and then they never replaced that center with center.
Gautier's not really a center either, but I mean, I was saying it back then. You can't draft him. The guy said he doesn't want to play for Philadelphia. You can't draft him. I know it sucks, and everybody's gonna say, "Why didn't you trade Gauthier?" But that it came out. He finally came out and said, you don't get it, right? I am not playing for Philadelphia." And they had to trade him, and they ended up doing not too bad getting Ziegler eventually.
Okay, but
they got Drysdale and stuff, but still,
yeah, we need it.
The truth of the matter is, I think the other was a defenseman that don't they have now? He's playing in the minors. They got him from the AHL. He doesn't. I don't know if he's ever going to make it.
Chernak?
No. He's in Philadelphia. He plays for Philadelphia's farm system right now. He's not very offensive. He's a defensive. It was the other guy, and as it turns out, you end up getting Draisaitl, which was better than your other option. So actually, it didn't turn out too bad after all.
No, I'm with you on that. I mean, the Draisaitl trade was definitely okay. Yeah, I'll take that. You know what I mean? But
considering you weren't going to have him anyways,
right? So okay, but I still think that's the biggest.
Is he still
moving forward? Is you need to desperately improve the power.
Not there anymore. I don't.
What's his name?
I don't know where he is. In the minors. And involves, I think, a lot of it having a number one center. I mean, having Dvorak as your center on the power play help you out. So that's down the road. All right, so we got it. Jiricek. Oh, Jiricek. No, it's not who I was thinking either. I could have swore they got him. Maybe he went back to the KHL or back to Europe or something like that. But it doesn't really matter right now. I'm not going to look for it. It was between him and this other guy, I think, that they were looking at. And in the end, they ended up getting Drysdale. If they would have picked the other guy, it didn't look like he was going to make it. So it ended up being not too bad for them. Yeah, number one center. But like I said, it's a surprise for them to do. And I think they can't overreact and say, okay, now we're a contender because we made the playoffs. It was a very weak division. And Chalkett's really good at having these guys playing their balls off. And they did in the regular season to get there. But you are not a contender until you can – you're not – I don't believe a team is a contender until they don't have to work their balls off every game in the regular season to make it. If you look at great teams, Colorado Avalanche, they played with their food a lot of games in the regular season. Like they just barely did enough to beat shitty ass teams. Like
yeah,
they got that is when you're a contender. When you got to grind it out every game like they did after the Olympic break, and you're gonna freaking die, man. There's no way you're going anywhere.
You're not gonna have anything left.
So you're not a contender yet. Don't think you're a contender. You're not. All these people thinking, oh, we made the playoffs this ad and we're a contender. No, you're not.
You know what though, Perlo, and here's the other thing too, and this is something that we've talked about many times on Puck and Deep. Teams have to learn how to lose first.
That too.
Right? And like when you saw Florida, right? Florida made it to the conference final,
the President's Trophy, and they lost in the first round of Boston.
Right, you know what I'm saying, and then they come back and they win it 2 in a row. You know what I mean? Like, and Tampa Bay did the same thing. They lost in the conference finals the year before, and then they went in and did it 2 years in a row, and then made it to the third and lost that one. But you have to learn how to lose. You have to make it as a team, and then learn how to lose as a team, right? And that's the other good thing I think came out of what happened with Philadelphia, is that now these guys have had that. They've had that taste in their mouth now. They know they've been to a home playoff game. They've seen what it's like to be on Broad Street for a home playoff game, and how the fans reacted and how the whole city just came alive. And you understand what I'm saying, right? And now they have that taste in their mouth, right? And I'm hoping that, because you've seen that with other teams. You get that taste in your mouth, and then you want it more. And you're hungry. Yeah. You know, if I look, man, I better see some really good, crisp moves that are going to happen for Philadelphia that are going to improve the team to an extent. I need to see some guys that I have on my radar to be drafted. I need Philadelphia to be picking some of them guys. All right? Because if they're on my radar, then you get what I'm saying. And there's guys that are out there that could affect this team in the not so distant future. I'm not talking about next year, but I'm talking about sooner rather than later. And they need to hit on those guys more so than not. You know, you're getting 8, 9, 10 guys in the draft, and you're only suiting up one guy or 2 guys. Like that's no. See, you need like 4 guys out of those picks. You know what I'm saying? You need to hit on more guys in the later rounds, like Perlo was saying earlier.
I have to apologize. Cutter Gauthier was 5th overall in 2022, right?
Yeah.
I was thinking of somebody different. I'm sorry. I thought he was a later round pick than that. But
no. No.
But I mean, there are other choices they could have took were David Juracek, who I think they have right now.
Well, now they got him.
Now they have him.
Right? Now
It's
they have
funny
him.
that's not the guy I was thinking about, but they do have him right now. Kevin Korchinski, who's been a slow burn in Chicago. Marco Casper had a down sophomore year. He might not be too bad. Matthew Savoy, it's taken a while. And anyways, like what I'm saying is the fact that they got Drysdale out of that group by taking Cutter Gauthier turned out to be not too bad for him.
Right. I mean, like I said, it wasn't a bad deal. It really improved Philadelphia, but you lost that front end. You lost that offense. You lost that production on the offense. You know what I mean? And is Drysdale worth losing that offensive production right now?
Yeah. No, I mean, no. But, I mean, you weren't going to have Cutter, so it don't matter. You weren't going to have Cutter, so.
No.
You had no leverage in the trade, and you ended up doing not too bad. So, anyways, we'll go to the other series now quickly because we're getting getting close to time. But I know you, the other series before we got on, you mentioned that you think they're going to go both. They're going to go distance.
I think the way you look at Montreal and Buffalo, the way that those teams are adjusting to each other for each game. You know what I mean? Where it just seems like it's a back and forth. Maybe that series maybe might not go all the way. It might go 5 or 6. I disagree. I think Vegas and Anaheim is going to go 7. Right? I really think that although Colorado finally lost a game, I don't think that one's going to go to 7 either.
No.
But the other ones, I think, I was never anticipating the Philadelphia Carolina ones. I was anticipating a sweep on that one, to be honest with you. And that's exactly what we got. I wasn't anticipating a sweep for Colorado and Minnesota, but I still feel that Colorado is going to win that series. And that one might go to 7 because those teams are pretty back and forth, even though I feel that, man, I just still think Colorado is the better team. You know what I mean? And Vegas Anaheim, I think, is going to go all 7.
Yeah, I'm not with you on that one. I think I can't look at that lineup for Anaheim and I just can't get there.
I get it.
I mean, they got the way they win is a pure offensive pure offensive. Like they got to keep it in the offensive zone and they got to beat the other team down. Quenneville hasn't had the time I don't know, because I never really thought of Quenneville as a defensive type coach, but he's still a great coach. But he hasn't really had the time to work with that team, very young players. He will not do what Tocchet's did in Philadelphia. That he will never do. He's not that type of coach. What I see is a team that's learning how to play man-on-man.
Do what? He'll never do what?
He'll never play a zone 1-3-1 trap system. He'll never do that. He will. He plays a man-on-man system, and it's like kind of like aggressive one like Buffalo, but it's very risky. He plays a very high-risk system. And it was successful in Chicago, obviously. When he went to Florida, he was the one that was coaching when they lost in the first round. I just don't think that wins in today's game. And I just see that Anaheim's got a lot of roster movement to do to get that team to be like he doesn't have Taves. He doesn't have Ladd. He doesn't have these great ultra intelligent defensive three like Taves was up there with Bergeron as far as I'm concerned. Now Carlson, that kid, I think he's got it in him. And there's some
He's young.
players there that can probably get there, but I don't think they are there. And I just have a hard time believing they're going to do what they did to the Edmonton Oilers, who were all gibbled up. You can't just take out Vegas's top line and win. You can't do that. And it's the type of style he's asking them to play. I think they'll burn out. I think Vegas has
more than one top line. Edmonton only had one top line.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean, right? So
now I get discussions with Edmonton fans and say, well, the second line did all the scoring. Yeah, because the second line were playing against lower lines and their whole plan was just to crush that line and dare your lower lines to beat them. And they're not going to do that against too many teams. But you can't do that against Vegas. And you saw an adjustment with Vegas. Like the first two games, I've watched Tortorella like crazy, especially the second game. They played that short little pass out of the zone, play around and try to play some sort of rugby with no physicality game or something like that. And he's listening there going,
keep away.
Yeah, this is what Cassidy was teaching you guys. I mean, I'm not going to shit on Cassidy, okay? He's won cups or everything. But he's like, really, this is how you think you're going to beat this team? Okay. So I think at the end of that, I could almost hear him in the dressing room saying, interesting.
That's an interesting story you guys got there.
I haven't really spoke up. I let you guys go, but can I just throw in a couple ideas out here for you? We got to widen out. Maybe we should try widening out our passes a little bit every once in a while. Maybe we should try, using quick longer passes every once in a while. Because what they're doing is they see you're going to do this little pass, and they're not taking the back man, they're taking the front man, right? And that's what happened with Buffalo and St. Louis. They're taking the front man, and then now you got nobody to pass to. So, and I'm not saying that system is bad. I'm just saying, like we've been saying all through this, the theme out of here is you got to be able to change it up every once in a while.
Yeah.
And they did in that game, and I think that they'll do it again. And I think Anaheim has got a big future in front of them. They got a lot of Gauthier, Cutter Gauthier.
Man, and they got
a lot of great guys there.
Their prospect pool
is fantastic too. Yeah.
I mean, I can't wait for Roger McQueen to start playing. I mean,
you think he's going to be really good, eh?
Yeah, I really do. That kid's got that it factor, and he's one of those guys. He kind of, if you looked at how Porter Martone plays, he reminded me a lot of how Roger McQueen plays that kind of style. He's a big kid, you know what I mean, and he's not afraid to throw his weight around. So I like the prospect pool in Anaheim very much so. But I got to be honest with you, man. I really feel that we're ending up going to be like Carolina and Colorado.
Oh yeah, already bet it.
Oh, you okay? You already got that one down. All right.
Carolina, Colorado, Carolina to win and Colorado to win. More on the Colorado to win than the Carolina. I did that after the Ottawa series.
Okay, man, I got to tell you, I think that's going to be the only team that can challenge Carolina.
Or Colorado, you mean? Or Colorado's the only one that can challenge Carolina?
Yeah. And not just challenge them, but beat them at that game.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see how much legs. It's going to be an interesting series. Very interesting. That is the one series that probably, because I think Vegas doesn't have the guns against Colorado. Not this year.
No, because they're grinding it. They're grinding it out against Anaheim. You know what I mean?
And now Stone's hurt, and that's
and at some point Carter Hart's going to break.
Maybe he's playing really well for them.
He is playing really well, but I've seen.
I just don't think they have the foot speed against Colorado. Colorado's got when they decide to turn it on, man. When Makar decides to go freaking turbo through the neutral zone, wow.
When they stop playing with their food.
Yeah. I don't know. Like that game against Minnesota it seemed like a bit of an exhale game. Like they were just like, maybe, I don't know, like they just didn't have it or whatever. I don't know what it was, but
Could be an
now poor Minnesota the next game because they are going to be dialed in on that one.
Well, how do you like that? They come out and open up and drop 9 on you.
Yeah,
Like,
the first game back.
Yeah.
The first game back after the long delay.
You know,
so they
everybody's
just
like,
said,
"Oh,
you know
there's
what?
gonna be
Screw it.
rust
Let's
on
just
the
outscore
end now."
them. Yeah, but that was a bad game against They didn't look really good at all. I don't want to take anything away from Minnesota. Minnesota played with a ton of urgency and all of that stuff like that, but they should have saw that coming.
Yeah, but man, when you get 9 dropped on you,
Buffalo Montreal is the one for me. I started off taking Buffalo, and I'm really concerned now. Like the same I already said before.
I disagreed on that one with you. I took Montreal over Buffalo because I think that Montreal just has a little bit of a better team, a little bit better. Not that I'm taking anything away from what Buffalo has done, but I've seen Buffalo stumble too much and not make those adjustments that need to be made during games. Okay. And I really feel that Montreal is making those adjustments during game. And I feel that they're going to be the better team.
I think man on man, Buffalo is a better team. That's why I liked Buffalo. But again, this St. Louis is one of those coaches that just keep on blowing me away all the time.
Yeah.
After this year, I am not going against him.
No.
I may not take the other team. I may not take the other team, but I'm not going against them again after this. Carolina, maybe that's a little different because they're going to have to grind this out. But this guy's blowing me away. Every time
I'll be happy to hear that.
I'm just like, wow, that was a freaking amazing movie.
Lyle will be happy to hear that. You're all back in, St. Louis there in Montreal, right? Lyle's going to be all happy about me.
He is doing great. When they fill the holes that they need to on that Montreal team, man, I don't know.
I got to say, man, I have been really impressed with how Demidov has been playing this year. Really impressed.
One more year, give that kid one more year. Oh.
And not only that, but Hudson has seriously matured.
Oh yeah,
last year, like
to compete, that kid, the game in Buffalo. Afterwards, he had to have. They flew his father in to console the kid. He was so angry at himself, and his father came in and stuff like that, and they're like, "Dude, chill." Pretty much, like, take it down a notch, man.
So
he's a little too hard on himself. No reason for him to be, but the level of compete that kid has is unbelievable. Right. Nobody needs to coach that kid. Nobody.
Just wind him up and let him go.
Just like watching Quinn Hughes on the ice, man.
Yeah.
You see the look on his eye when he's on the ice, man. You can't teach that.
Like he has controlled 80% of the game for Minnesota.
Oh yeah.
80%.
Yeah, he's incredible.
8 out of 10 times the puck is going through him.
His passes from the defensive zone is just unbelievable.
Wow.
Like he'll make passes and I'll be like, Quinn, what are you? Oh, Jesus.
All right, never mind. I
mean, like, what are you doing? Oh, wow, what? Holy.
Yeah, right.
That guy is absolutely insane.
You go through that full gamut of emotions.
I don't know. Hasn't been too many players in the league that I've seen that have been able to make passes like that. Just unbelievable. Bouchard, he's amazing. Makar, yeah. But Makar is skating it out of the zone. I
like how Makar passes though too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh my God, right? Okay.
But when he gets ahead of steam, man, it's just unbelievable to watch. And then he makes some crazy cut at top speed, just freaking like what? Like people talk about the Norris or whatever, and I can make my case. I think Sider probably had the best analytics numbers and stuff like that. But I mean, there's a lot of factors that go into that. But when you're talking about these are elite, it's so hard for me to say that one or the other or whatever. It's just enjoy it and watch the brilliance of these guys. That's the way I look at it.
I mean, we're very lucky and very blessed that we get to watch some of the talent that's playing in the NHL right now. Okay, look, I'm not trying to take anything away from the Gretzky's or the Bossies or the or any of those guys. I'm not taking anything away from those guys at all. Okay, but seriously, the hockey that's being played right now, the quality of hockey right now. Oh, I want to say this, Perlo, while we're on the air. Okay, I want to say this. On Friday, I believe it was Friday, the United States Hockey League announced a upgraded partnership with the National Hockey League. And I am over the moon excited about that partnership continuing for another 4 more years with support by the NHL for the USHL, because what I think is going to end up happening is that we're going to probably see an expansion of the USHL. Good. Okay. And potentially a couple more teams going to be added. Okay. Look, I've had the distinct honor and privilege of being able to cover USHL teams, being able to cover USHL games, and just getting a toe dipped into the USHL pool. And let me say this, it is one of the best areas for some of the young talent to learn how to play hockey the right way.
For sure.
These USHL teams have professional systems in place with professional coaches. Mm-hmm. They've got professional facilities. Some of the teams even fly the kids to the games. I mean, come on, right? This is the perfect stepping stone if you want to play hockey in the NHL, because these teams teach you how to play hockey so that you can go then and play for the NCAA and then get drafted in the NHL. Mm-hmm. You can't get a better system program for these young kids than the USHL, man. And I just want to say congratulations to the USHL and all of their affiliates for partnering up with the NHL. Finally.
Yeah. No, that's great. Good news. Bad news for Junior again. So I'm telling you, man, they gotta. If Canada doesn't start ponying up scratch to help their university systems there, they gotta start doing it. It's not Junior is, or either that or putting considerable funding to the junior leagues to be able to compete with the U.S. colleges and stuff.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now,
they're going to be left in the absolute dust.
The OHL and the WHL are very good leagues, and you see a good percentage of players drafted out of those leagues.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Right. So it's not like they're slouch leagues, but I agree with you, Perlo.
They're not improving leagues.
Right. They need to step their game up.
Yes, because the more hockey, and it's going to get more and more popular in the United States, the more popularity there is, the more there's a demand for the sport. You know what the United States are going to do. And I'm living in the United States right now. They don't settle for second. That's the way they are. They're going to pile money into the programs. They're going to get the best coaches they can possibly get, the best training you can possibly get, and they're going to do whatever you want to produce the best. And it's not going to stop. So this old idea of everything that worked before and why doesn't it work now? If it's not broke, don't fix it. Well, I never understood that philosophy anyways. If it's not broke, you can't improve it. Second of all, why fix it? You can't improve it. Second of all, it's getting to the point where it's going to be broke if you don't, financially speaking, if you don't
right.
change it up here soon.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to be a feeder league to the U.S. and college ranks.
Because then all you have to do is look at the college programs in the United States, right? You look at like Ohio State, Penn State, Minnesota, Michigan State, Minnesota, and you look at the facilities where these kids get to train and play, right? And it's very comparable to NHL level type facilities and coaching and training and nutrition and housing and 9 yards, absolutely. Right? Yep. Right. So, I mean,
so either Canada has to do it or the NHL has to see the value of keeping those leagues strong, and they have to start feeding it. Something has to be done there, or you're going to 20, 30 years from now, the way it's going right now, the United States college and high school systems are going to be absolutely destroying junior leagues, destroying them in talent that's coming out. So if you want to keep this Canadian talent coming out at the same level, and you should, because not all Canadians can go over and play in college. They're going to take care of their U.S. kids first, which they should. That's what you're supposed to do. That's what you're there for. So anyways, the game's going to start right now. We got to talk about, I think, everything we needed to talk about. So, you can catch me at Perlo's NHL POW. It's right there. You go check out my Winnable. You can get packages there for like $150 for a calendar year using Jaime's 12, baseball and hockey. Our baseball guy is just absolutely crushing this year. So his name is Swag. He's fantastic. What's that? $10, $12 a month. I mean, it's like one Starbucks.
Yeah, right. You know how much you spend at Starbucks?
Starbucks a month.
$12 at Starbucks,
and you're getting elite capping in both NHL and hockey. So go check that out. And you can also get monthly packages and all that kind of stuff like that. Also, you can catch me again tonight on Rico and Perlo's House of Exotic Jaime's Picks Frolic at 10:30 Eastern, where we will break down all the games for tomorrow. You can go check out what we did today, actually, too. We have Jonathan Davis on there. I call him the Stat Master J. He is one of the big reporters for the LA Kings. He's on Sirius Radio on Monday afternoons at 12 Eastern, and he does a whole bunch of stuff for VSiN Radio as well. He's just a great guy, great insider, excellent hockey mind, and Parlay Dre, the best parlay bettor I've ever seen in hockey. He also has Discord as well. He's under Exotic Wagers with a Z, Exotic Wagers. You can catch him on Twitter. Catch them all. And John or Ron, what do we? I know you're having issues with technical issues and stuff like that.
So we're still facing some technical difficulties with producing shows. We're hoping that we can get something here in the very, very, very near future to where we'll be able to produce shows. You can still go to the YouTube channel and check out the Hockey Writers Inc. and Prospect Watch and check out some of the great stuff there. I'm trying really hard to get to go to the Combine that's going to be in Chicago for the NHL. I'm really trying to go there. And then there might be some USHL games that I'm going to go try and cover potentially, as far as I can do that. But man, just hang tight with us, man. We're definitely trying. We're going to have some stuff here rolling. So hang tight. We're coming.
All right. That's our full 42. It's my full 42. Well, it's not full. I have one more show to do. I think I gave you about like 36. I think I got to save about 8 for.
Okay. No. All right.
But enjoy the games starting right now, and enjoy us again next time when we're on Puck Pucking Deep, talking about all the topics in the league, what's going on, all the scuttlebutt, and getting in deep in everything in the NHL.
Because we know Puck.
Because we know Puck.
We know Puck.
Although a lot of people say otherwise, but
well, you know.
Yeah, they're wrong. Okay, talk to you later. Bye.